Refugees, unlike migrants, are not people who wake up and decide they are going to another country. They are fleeing. Many of them have lost their loved ones, they've lost property, there's pandemonium back where they're coming from, they're traumatized, they're fleeing, They've not taken any documents with them. And so when they get to the border, it's important that they meet people who are aware who are refugees, not asking them for documents.
The UNHCR and its stakeholders say it is important that every host country provides a safe space for refugee children, especially during these uncertain times of COVID-19. For GBC News, Ofeyu Wadakon reporting.
All right, so that was a really heartbreaking story concerning child refugees. It's a huge crisis right around the world. We will be speaking with the acting executive secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board. But Thelma, just your thoughts on this phenomenon.
I think that what was most profound for me was when the UN lady talked about refugees not being migrants, and so should not be treated as such at entry points to countries. And that is very key, because if you take the US, for example, a lot of the people coming in from the Mexico border, you see all the processes that they have to go through, and some are there seeking asylum, and obviously the procedures for asylum seeking are different from that of migrating illegally. And so the broader conversation about how to differentiate between the two categories of migrants needs to be clearer for countries, especially for those who are fleeing conflict. And when it comes to the case of children in particular, is quite sad, because if they are not accompanied by adults and they have to take their details, make sure they are put in the right shelters while they find more permanent places for them to stay, then it becomes more difficult, because most of the camps are for adults migrants and not necessarily fitted for children. So do they have caretakers there? Do they have counselors there who will take them through all these things? And I'm sure that we'll have the opportunity, now that our expert has joined us, to put some of those questions to him.
Mr. Tetepadi, good morning. Your timing is spot on. Acting Executive Secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board. Welcome to GTV Breakfast.
Thank you, Kofi.
Good to have you here. How relevant is this problem in Ghana of child refugees?
Yes, indeed. The population of refugees, as anybody would expect, has a significant component of children. And it's important that we create and make sure that they have the suitable environments to grow up and develop as children. So it is very important.
These kids, foreign kids that we see on the streets begging for money or food, what do we classify them?
Unfortunately, we do not classify them as refugees. The reason is that to be recognized as a refugee, you would have had to approach the Ghana Refugee Board to apply for asylum. And then you should have been taken through the very detailed process of refugee status determination before you can be recognized as a refugee. And so all these people you find on the streets, many of them are seasonal migrants, people who have simply come into the country, if they're from outside, to seek greener pastures, as it were. But they are not refugees.
So for the avoidance of doubt, what exactly is the process to get someone established as a refugee?
So there are two main processes. The first one is when they come in individually. They approach the Ghana Refugee Board. If they intend to seek asylum as they enter the country, they make this known at the point of entry, and the immigration officers will then refer them to the Ghana Refugee Board. Once they come to us, we register them first as asylum seekers, and then we take them through what we call refugee status determination, which basically is listening to their story, the reason why they intend to seek asylum, and then assessing whatever information they've given us. We use what we call country of origin information, and so we situate what they've told us against what we know the country of origin situation is, and then our eligibility officers, having taken them through the interviews, make a recommendation to the board And so it is the board that takes the final decision on these individual applications. The other route is what we refer to as a prima facie recognition. When refugees or asylum seekers come into the country in large groups, you simply cannot interview them individually. If you have thousands of people coming to seek refuge, people who are fleeing from disturbances in their country. And so we recognize them as a group using the AU Convention. Once this is done, we still take them through some short interviews. The reason is that it is not everybody who seeks asylum who is deserving to be recognized as a refugee. And so these people are, we working with security agencies, we try to identify persons who should not be recognized as refugees, who are excluded, as we put it. And then such persons are then referred to the security agencies and taken through a different process.
But when it comes specifically to children, how serious is the situation?
It is very important that we create an enabling environment for children to grow up normally as much as possible. And so to start with, the best thing, and for me the most important thing, is the fact that the country, the state, provides them with a safe environment. And this is ensured by our own, what we ourselves as Ghanaians enjoy. Apart from that, the state also makes sure, working together with UNHCR, a very important partner, make sure that they have access to education, they have access to child-friendly areas, they have access to health, all the various social services that are critical for the growing up of children.
All right.
And we work together with all our partners to ensure that this is done.
How many are on your database, child refugees?
We have, it's difficult for me to tell you the exact number, but we have a total of about 14,000 refugees and asylum seekers in total.
Adults and children.
Yes.
And where are they? What's the geographical distribution? Where are they? Where can we find them?
Right. We have 4 camps currently. There's one in the Brong region. Sorry, Brong region now. There's one in the central region near Elmina. Then the 2 refugee camps in the western region. One near Tuabu, Krisan, and then one in a town called Ampain. 3 of these refugee camps are mainly for Ivorian refugees. And then there's one in the western region at Krisan, which is a mixed population of about 15 different nationalities.
Which countries? Give us a flavor.
In total, we have refugees from 36 different countries in Ghana.
All Africans?
No, not all Africans, Africa and beyond. Krisan has about 15, mostly Sudanese. There are a few Ivorians. There are very few Liberians, because most Liberians are not refugees anymore. We have people from Central African Republic. We have a few Ethiopians. We have quite a significant...
And the non-Africans, where? I'm just curious.
There was a time when we had... In fact, we do have some refugees from Pakistan. Yes.
Pakistan?
We had a refugee from Sri Lanka, and we had one from Uzbekistan. We had a few from Uzbekistan. So we have quite, even though the population is not huge, it's a very varied, mixed population. This needs to be taken into account when you're planning.
The report from my colleague Ofori Wadakon mentioned displacement and conflict specifically. To what extent does that affect children when they move? You've spoken about providing a safe environment, and I would like to know what the reintegration process would entail for such children who have to flee conflict and in their home countries.
Well, fleeing conflicts, as we all know, completely destabilizes children. And so what we've done, we've worked together with the Ministry of Education, supported by UNHCR. Once they come in initially, we make sure that there's a place they can call school. We have volunteer teachers initially. But we eventually merge all these schools into the national systems. And so currently all nurseries and primary schools in the camps are run by the Ghana Education Service. And so
the camps have schools?
The camps have schools.
Right.
But the good thing, and for me it's very important, is that the schools in the camps are not exclusively for refugees. The host community children also have access to these schools. And the idea is to make sure that the host community and the refugee population are at par when it comes to services that are being provided. So you don't create different strata, which does not go well for harmony within the community. So this is done. Another good thing which I think I should mention is that the schools on the camps are school feeding from the Ministry of Education, the school feeding program. And so we try to, as much as possible, make the children as comfortable as they can.
But that's a short-term measure to try and make them comfortable. But what's the long-term plan? Is it to relocate them back to their countries or get them more permanent homes in the countries where they seek refuge, for example, if they are in Ghana?
Right. I think it's actually more than short-term, perhaps medium-term, if you like, because if as long as they stay here, they go through our educational system. And so we guarantee that they have the compulsory basic education that is available for Ghanaians. And more recently, we've ensured that also government has magnanimously agreed and put them on the free senior high school as well. Okay. The numbers are not huge, but it goes a long way to make a difference in refugees' lives. But to your question, when nobody expects to be a refugee all their lives. And so there are durable, what we call durable solutions. Refugees they either return to the country of origin when it's safe to do so, or they locally integrate in the country of asylum. The option that we have is for them to stay here legally as foreign nationals. And then the third option, which is resettlement to a third country, is not something that we control at all. It's the sole prerogative of the receiving countries. And so, for instance, the US or Australia can ask for refugees to be resettled in their country. It usually is the preferred choice for refugees. Unfortunately,
I bet it is.
They want to leave Ghana, go to paradise in quotes. Listen, what happens with language barriers? I mean, you have Uzbeks, Pakistanis, Ivorian kids here, and they may not understand English. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, remarkably, for instance, Ivorians that we've had, the children are doing very well in our schools, and they actually have an advantage because they speak French, and then they do well as well when they go through our curriculum. And so for some reason they fit in very well, and once they start, children absorb very quickly. And so they do find their feet and are able to.
What would you say are the challenges for organizations like yours when it comes to helping children who find themselves in this refugee status?
Government does a lot. I could go on and on in terms of what is provided for refugees.
And your partners, UNHCR, the other UN agencies who also support.
Yes, they do support us. Still, we have challenges. The key one that comes to mind immediately is refugees not being assisted with food, because after the initial emergency period, funding dries up, or the priorities donors find priorities elsewhere, and so they send funding elsewhere. But what we do is put refugees on livelihood activities, and so we take refugees through training, make sure that they can earn a living. Again, it is not a 100% solution, but it does make a difference in refugees' lives.
So how do you protect these children from being abused and violence? Because that was a major component of Oforiwa's story. How do you do that in Ghana?
We work closely with the Departments of Social Welfare. And so refugees who need that kind of assistance are provided assistance by the state. On the camps as well, UNHCR staff, refugee board staff are present, monitoring what happens amongst the population. You will have a few incidents here and there, but the important thing is to catch those incidents, and if there are perpetrators, make sure that they are dealt with by the law. So we very much focused on ensuring that children grow up in a safe environment.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Chapati, Acting Executive Secretary for the Ghana Refugee Board, thank you so much. Anything you want to say in conclusion to this topic of refugee children?
Well, let me just say that we welcome any assistance from the public. And indeed, people do provide assistance.
But how do people reach you?
Our offices are at Jolu. We can be found on Google Maps, and our contact numbers are also available.
Greatest needs. What's the greatest need that?
Assistance to children.
Okay. In terms of what? Physically, what is that?
Well, sometimes food. Christmas, for instance, we get people coming to assist them, making sure that they can also enjoy Christmas. Clothing. We're never short of. We always have the need for assistance for children and for adults as well.
Okay. Wish you a really great day. Thank you so much for spending time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so GTV Breakfast, a couple of questions I want to ask you. If you had the power to effect a change in the Constitution, what would you change? What one thing would you change in Ghana's Constitution? Let us know on hashtag GTV Breakfast. And then for you ladies who are going through premature hair loss or total, extreme, complete hair loss, how has that affected your life? That's something that Val will be dealing with on today's show, but we'd like to find out from you what your experience is so far. So, hair loss and taking care of the Constitution, things coming up with Val and T on today's show. My name is Kath. I'll take a little tea break and I'll come back with the headlines. Don't go.
Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show.
Are you ready? It's heat hot and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on news, making the headlines, how to navigate traffic,
What's up with the weather,
your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
sports,
word of showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you, with the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late. Are you ready? It's heat hot and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on news, making the headlines, how to navigate traffic,
What's up with the weather,
your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
sports,
word of showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you, with the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late.
Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show.
Are you ready? It's heat hot and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, Our Style, keeping you on track and updated on news making the headlines. How to navigate traffic.
What's up with the weather?
Your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
Sports.
what of showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you. With the team you can trust.
It's breakfast, weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late.
Hashtag GTV Breakfast. Still to come, a conversation on constitutional reform. What one bit of the Constitution would you like to be changed? Is it the special issues? Is it the Article 71 thing that gets people so angry sometimes? Why we pay all this money to all these people every 4 years? Why? We don't get money. That kind of thing. Or is it Article 78? Let us know. Hashtag GTV Breakfast. And if you're a lady who's lost her hair or is losing her hair, has that affected your life, your lifestyle? That's a conversation that Val will be having with an alopecian, yeah? Coming up in a while. But for now, it's the headlines. I'm pleased to have former Central Regional Minister and former MP for the good people of Mfantsipim.
Yeah.
You actually defeated Stephen Asamoah
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah.
How did that victory make you feel?
Oh, I mean, it was a sweet victory because it's hard won. It was hard won. So, I mean, I enjoyed it when, because it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I mean, people were shying away from the constituency thinking, I mean, hey, it's very difficult to unseat a personality of that stature, you know.
What did the trick for you?
Oh, it's all about humility. I mean, I went there and really identified myself with them. And I'm someone who is always in my hometown. Though I was living in Accra, there's no vacation that my old boy won't send me to the village. So it's like even my mates in the village always thought I was living there because every vacation I went to a day school in Accra. So every vacation I go back to the village, and my friends there also goes to boarding schools. They will also vacate and come. So we all meet in the village as if I was living with them there.
So that was a trick.
No, that wasn't the trick because that time I'm talking about in the 70s and the 80s.
But you had bonds with the people.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I go to the town, nobody will say that. But this guy, where is he from? And I mean, it's like I was already a household name in my town, especially in one town. You know, that is, you know, we have over 117 communities
in Mfantsipim alone.
In Mfantsipim alone.
Okay.
But I come from only one.
Which one?
Saltpond.
Okay.
So I mean, but you always need a lunch pad, you know, and Saltpond was it.
Did you miss the MP days?
Oh, I do, and sometimes you know, the precious, you know. Now I can sleep till like 10 a.m. I mean, it's, you know, the only thing I miss is the election period.
Right.
You know, the adrenaline, the running around, you know, because every election period, at least I lose about 5 to 10 kg.
So it's a good weight loss program. Every 4 years you can lose.
I tell you.
Aquinas Teria Kwanzaa, also former Central Regional Minister, here on the show with me. I'm going to start with a very, very serious story which broke yesterday. It's on the front page. It's made the front page of today's Daily Graphic. 3 suspected robbers died in shootout with police. And the police set out a serious press release basically detailing what happened, how their plainclothes men were able to foil a robbery attack. And they ended on a very strong note. And I just want to read it. The police want to assure Ghanaians that they are determined to get rid of street, residential, and highway robberies throughout the country. And anyone who steps in the way of the police will not be spared. Those are fighting words from the Ghana police. Your thoughts, first of all, on that particular
I think that's the way to go. I mean, looking at the way the boys or the robbers behave, I mean, with impunity, I mean, they can just, I mean, they don't care. And it's about time the police too don't care. Just handle them the way they want to be handled. And I like the tone of the letter because, you know, you call their bluff. I mean, in the afternoon, I mean, those times you hear of robbery in the night, you know, sometimes some of us are even scared of driving late in the night. But now, in the afternoons, hot afternoon, I mean, it's the last time I was home and I just heard that there was a robbery just my next street. You know, the bullion van around the Spinters Road. I was like, what is going on this afternoon? You know, so I believe I like the way the police people are now. You know, they've identified the hotspots. You don't know who is there. Yeah. I'll be walking there. You think I'm just an ordinary passenger waiting for. But I mean, that is the way.
Because they were undercover, they were in plain clothes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That is the way to go. You see, our security system is now, how will I say, look, those times when we were growing up, you can enter a town and you don't know who is the BNI agent there. Now, if you go to every district, every function, when they are even introducing people, they will introduce the BNI officer in the. I mean, those
like times, a special guest.
I mean, those times you don't see that. I mean, even the BNI, you see him, he's walking around like a journalist. But he's a BNI guy. Those times, I mean, I remember in the early 80s, you find taxi drivers. If they want to arrest a particular criminal or particular criminals in an area, the state will even give money to you. That Kafui, open a spot here. You run the sport. I mean, you are the man, man the drinking bar or the lounge or whatever.
And then to attract people,
they'll be talking. Yeah. They'll be talking, and you'll be gathering. But now we do firefighting more than gathering intelligence. We don't gather intelligence anymore. Now, if I enter a district and the BNI guy comes closer, I know what to say and what not to say. But those times, you don't know who is who. But now, you see them holding their Gota phone, you know, and displaying their.
It's almost like a flex.
It's a flex now. I mean, you know, but I believe it's about time we have serious undercover agents. I mean, we don't have them. He will even come and brag and say that, do you know me? I'm the special agent investigating this issue. I mean, and I like the way the police is going now. I mean, look, take the fight to them. They should take the fight. They should flash. And the police know they know every corner they are. So it's about time they start flashing them out one after the other. I mean, I was telling you, I was going to the Brong-Ahafo region. In broad daylight. People have just blocked the road and robbing people. I mean, it's like free for all. Those of us who were far behind were able to just turn around.
You did a U-turn and gone.
But, I mean, people don't know what is happening. You get out from your car, then somebody from the bush will just enter your car. I mean, I think it's about time the police go tough.
And they've listed the kind of robberies they are going to be very tough on. Street robberies, like what happened yesterday. Residential robberies, because people are doing these things. And then highway robberies. And let's talk about highway robberies. I mean, a former MP of your constituency was just killed like that.
The one who just came after me.
Yes, he's just killed. And so far, what's the state of that particular case?
I learned some guys confessed. I mean, some guys were arrested on a different crime, but they ended up confessing
to that particular
one. But they've not been charged yet on the killing of Kwanzaa Hayford. But I believe the drivers should also bear with the police. I mean, sometimes we complain too much about the number of police barriers on some, especially from here to Cape Coast. If you are driving on the weekend, you meet about 6-7 police points. You know, sometimes it's nuisance, but I believe it's a necessary nuisance. Because when you rob from one point, by the time it's about less than maybe 10 kilometers, there's another checkpoint.
Yes, sir.
So alarm would have been reached. So the next people will know exactly what is going on. You know, so we should try and bear with the police.
It's actually reassuring for me when the times that I'm driving from Cape Coast to Accra, and it's evening to early night. Almost every 5 minutes there's a stop.
Yeah,
and it's reassuring that the police are just greeting you and say, hey, you feel reassured. You know, so yeah.
I believe that should be the way. And you know, for the residential, you know, sometimes all they need is just the police siren vehicles, the patrol vehicles, just drive through the area with their sirens. So I mean, as if they've been alerted about of a crime.
Yeah.
But nothing. I mean, look, where I live at Bachona. Where I live, there should be this patrol team every evening around, every night, let's say night between 10, 11, 12, they'll be driving through the areas with their sirens on. So, I mean, it sends some kind of signals to the police are around.
Yes.
You understand me? But, I mean, now I don't hear of them. I don't feel them anymore. I mean, it's about time they do that. But, you know, the police, they created a unit
for patrol? Visibility, okay.
That visibility thing. You know, we always think the police people are just sitting under the shed doing nothing. But you see, Ghanaians, the fact that there's a policeman even standing there or sitting there
should reassure you, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, some people say, oh, we are trying to turn the country into a police state or what. Look, I remember me visiting Kigali. I mean, if you go to Rwanda, Kigali is like, you call it a police state. Every 100 or 200 meters, you see a policeman standing there, doing nothing, but he's standing with his arms. You know, you dare not break the laws. You understand me? And we should let our laws work. You know, a policeman was telling me that, oh no, it's you people who sometimes make the law I mean, like unworkable. I said, why? He said, look, you will call me. I will arrest somebody. You will call me. Oh, Jack, it's my boy. You just. I said, look, I made them put one of my boys in cells before. I mean, anytime this boy will call me, he has a problem with the police, especially the MTTD. One day he called me and I said, let me talk to the policeman. I spoke to the policeman and the policeman narrated what the guy did. I said, you know what, just lock him up. I'm putting my phone off. He won't reach me. He was locked up till the following morning. So he will learn.
That you can't just call on a big man.
No, I mean, what are you talking about? The police talking to you and because you know somebody. I mean, so we should respect the police.
All right, respect the police. Before I move to the next topic, let's talk a little bit about the role of we the citizens, because I was watching a report on this particular robbery, and the onlookers who witnessed what happened were not able to fully even describe what had gone on. And I think it's a real failing, because if you witnessed a crime, you should be able to describe very clearly, he was in this car, he was wearing this, people were finding it hard to just even give a picture of, and for me, I was really sad.
No, you shouldn't be sad, Master. The hustle is too much for people.
To describe something.
Master, that is a secondary thing that he's thinking about. Master, the man is standing there, Charlie, thinking about where the next meal is coming from. The color of the dress, even a cow will hit. Look, how many people even...
but that's how we help the police. If the police come and say, listen, describe what happened.
I understand you.
Yeah.
But do you have you are not in the best frame of mind for you to identify something and describe it vividly. You will just look at the thing and just, okay. Even, look, how many people even sit in taxis and pick the numbers of the taxis? They don't. So that tomorrow, if maybe you might have left your wallet or something,
you'll be able to describe the taxi.
Oh, the taxi number is this. Yeah. We don't do it.
Maybe we need to start getting this kind of education from the very earliest.
Definitely.
Describing things. Look, get into the room, describe what is around. Then you get the training so that when something happens, you will be able to give a picture.
Sometimes you say things and they say you watch too much movies. And I tell them that, look, there are things like you come visiting me. I just walked you to the main road. You picked an Uber. or you pick a taxi, definitely I have the color of the taxi, I have the number of the taxi in my head. So if they call me tomorrow, oh, Kafu said he was coming to me, he didn't come back home. I say, but I was there when he picked the taxi number, GW, this, with great color. I mean, you know, so but how many people will even think of that? You understand me? So it's about time, maybe something we have to inculcate in our kids. I mean, look, you go to the police and they ask you, did you see the armed robber? Yes. Can you describe the armed robber? People will be there, they will do the sketch for you after a description, you know, thick cheekbone, this thing, fair beard. They just give you some sketch. Yes, like that. Not exactly, but at least closer there. I mean, I don't know. Seriously, I don't know if we have people in the police who do the sketches. I don't know.
We'll go and then come back and report to you.
Yeah, on that I don't know if we have people who do those sketches. Yes. But I believe if you've not gotten yourself too much involved with the police, you will not know the kind of things that they do. Yeah.
Well, you were fortunate because you were a former MP, a former regional minister, so you deal with them on various levels.
Not even that. Before I went to Parliament, I was working with Alliance Media, and we were mounting billboards all across. And when the police called me and said, "Look, your billboard just around the police headquarters there, what's the bridge?
Sankara.
The Sankara
overpass.
They have cameras there, and my board is blocking the camera." I say, "You have cameras here?" I say, "Yes." So I have to go to their ops room. Yeah. Look, Master, I was out there.
The cameras were there.
The kind of things they have. I was like, wow, they have all this. You see, but maybe I don't know why. I mean, people get away with crimes. Yeah. I remember the government saying they were going to install about how many cameras across the city.
We see them all
they don't installed. Work. Most of them don't work.
You know that for a fact.
Oh, most of them don't work.
Have you tested it?
You try it and see.
I try it.
just run a
red light and see whether I'll be arrested.
But when they call you and say that, Kafu, we saw you this car number, this thing, jumping red light.
If Dr. Bawumia's digitization thing works, you'll be there, you get an alert on your phone.
That is
saying that you've crossed the light.
That is what should be done. I was driving with a friend in South Africa, East London. We drove past a red light. We drove to a red light. Look, 35 minutes. He had an alert on his phone that this thing. We didn't video. He couldn't say anything. Go and pay the fine. He went to pay the fine.
So we need to get there.
We need to get there. We need to get there.
Yes, this is the headlines looking at security issues. Do you feel safe? The police say they are going hard on street robberies, residential robberies, highway robberies. Have you been a victim? Do you feel safe with this development, gunning down of these robbers, the attitude of the police? Would like to know from you. #GTV Breakfast. Let's go to the Ghanaian Times. And the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, are in a defiant mood. They say, we won't go back to the classroom. They are defying the National Labour Commission's order to return to the classrooms. Why is this happening? So UTAG has resolved to continue with their industrial action until all their demands are fulfilled by the government. So in case you're wondering, UTAG is made up of lecturers from the country's 13 public universities. So they had a joint statement saying that they are going to still pursue their industrial strike and they're not going to take any notice of the National Labour Commission. This is lawless, isn't it, Mr. Kwanzaa?
I don't think it's lawless. I mean, they have they have the right. I mean, that's why they are also going back to the courts. There's been
you impose an injunction on the injunction.
Yes, to quash the injunction. You understand me? Because it was like a one-sided move. And I believe I listened to Austin Gama yesterday,
the labor consultant.
Yeah, and I believe in what he said.
What did he say?
He said, "Look, we need a third party government. You are not dealing with these people with fairness. That is what they come in with. I mean, the people came in with a prejudiced mind that, look, hey, these people, they are coming to say the same old thing. If you have a third party that will engage them, engage government, engage them separately, come up with a proper roadmap and say that, look, this is what we're going to do for you. Government want to meet you halfway and that kind of thing. Because sometimes government's posture on issues like that doesn't help issues. You understand me? Because we now it's like we've politicized the labor commission.
How?
You know, I mean, we just have to look at the people there, and you realize maybe some of them were former MPs for LPP, former this. I mean, you have to have
it's a practice. It's a practice. No, when your party comes to power, you do the same thing.
Boss, I understand you. So when will the cycle stop? I mean, it will be a vicious cycle going.
Maybe when your party comes to power, you stop the cycle.
No, yeah, you see, it's about time we let the experts lead. You understand me? You take me because I'm a lawyer. I'm not a labor expert. Yes, I can read sections of the labor laws here and there. It's different from somebody being a labor expert. You understand me? It comes with psychology and everything in there. But if you just go there because you are a lawyer, so let me go and talk to them. I know what section this is saying, what article this is saying. So it makes you, no, it doesn't make you an expert. We need to let the expert work. Let the politicians, let's do our politics. But when it comes to some state institutions, we should just allow the people with the know-how to run the show. You understand me? I mean, the fact that you are a politician doesn't make you an all-rounder. Yes, you might be a very good manager or whatever. Yes, just manage your things at policy level. Let the people who have what it takes do the implementation.
Listen to their position. So UTAG demands, and I'm quoting, that the government should just restore the 2012 values for the lecturers without recourse to adjustments. We are not asking for any increment in our salaries. We are asking for restoration. This is the president of UTAG, Professor Charles Mafo, saying this at a conference, news conference last Wednesday. So there's some 2012 single spine salary structure which have put the lecturers at the CD equivalent of just over $2,000 for a newly minted lecturer.
See, at least they've been told that once they go into that profession, making money should be the last thing they think of. They should think of the glory in heaven. I mean, teachers and lecturers, their reward is always in heaven.
What do you think about that statement?
Well, that statement was unfortunate. I mean, that one, look, everybody is trying to make ends meet. You understand me? So, we know lecturers outside, even associates, somebody who does is like go to the school for almost like 1-2 times in a month,
like an adjunct or a part-time.
Yeah, part-time. I mean, he even earns more than that $2,000 we're talking about. You understand?
Is it based on ability to pay?
No, master. You see, ability to, don't we pay fees in the universities? We do. So where all the money go? Where do the money go? I mean, does it go back to a consolidated fund, or they keep it in the school and say that, look, teach the children? Look, I was talking to a lecturer at Ashesi University. I am not advertising for them. They pay them well. They take their time. They teach them well. Look, my wife told me that, look, in her career, every student that came from Ashesi comes with something. You know, he said, look, I was a treasurer at this place. I got some 2 boys from Ashesi. Look, could you believe they came to develop this system that the company is even using till date?
And you think it's tied to how much they pay their lecturers?
The lecturer, you are telling the lecturers to go and do part-time job. So the lecturer will come there, quickly finish with what, and just go back and be selling credit. Because he needs to, I mean, you've told him that he can't be rich because he's a teacher. So he should find something else to do, because who doesn't want to be rich? Not rich like become millionaire or something. But you should be able to say that, look, my child needs this. That not you'll be thinking and you go back to the classroom and be teaching people. I mean, you'll be confusing them the more. You see, and it's, I also believe we should have a standard. If we are using the Ashesi standard, okay, a lecturer in Ashesi is paid $3,000 in a month. Okay, that's the beginning. Let's all state this thing. Then we are now talking about even making the universities free, even paying of fees. They are paying fees. We can't even pay the lecturers well. If we make it free, and now government have to pay the lecturers. I mean, we should get our priorities right when it comes to education. Seriously, we need to pay them. We need to pay them and pay them well, because when they move from here, a lecturer friend of mine moved from here and went to Kenya. Called me, said, I said, didn't do. I said, why? I said, look, master, my bungalow, the car that I drive, the amount they give me for my domestic help and my garden boy, my security and everything.
He's almost like a minister.
You know what I'm talking about? I mean, you see our boys are now running to Rwanda to teach.
Mm-hmm. They are?
Go to Rwanda and see the number of Ghanaian lecturers who are there.
What's the solution? How do we keep our people here?
We keep them, pay them well. Don't let them think or feel that if they become teachers, that means they have to be poor for life. No. Give them alternatives. Give them things to make them. You know, if we don't take time, we'll be going back to the 83 issues where all our teachers ran away to Nigeria in the 80s.
For those who don't know, what was that like? Those who were too young.
83 was something else. No, when even our people were coming, we realized that 60% of the people that went to Nigeria were teachers. You see, that is where we strengthen the school, what do we call it, the teachers allowance, the training school, the allowance for the training colleges. You remember? You see, the training colleges, we started giving them money because we wanted to attract more people, because our teachers are all going out. And it happened in a way that we were able to attract a lot of teachers then, new people coming in. And those times we have 3 batches of teachers. We have those with set A. I mean, you finish Form 4.
And you went straight.
You went straight to training college. Or you went to secondary school. You went to training college. Or those who go to do the diploma, like those times, Winneba College of Education.
Right.
I mean, those people, and UCC, those who go to UCC to do, we had all those. So now we started training more teachers. Yeah, we became self-sufficient in a way. When they returned from Nigeria, we had, most of them were reintegrated into the education system, and they went back teaching. We had enough teachers. But you see, we shouldn't play with them. We shouldn't play with them, because look, if
is the government playing with teachers now?
No, about the president's statement. I mean, I believe it shouldn't have. I mean, it shouldn't have come from him. You know, just boost their morale. Don't tell them that if you want to be rich, then you are in the wrong profession. Please.
That's Mr. Aquinas Teria
and the Constitution.
Kwanzaa, former Central Manager, Regional Minister, and former MP for Mfantsimiya, talking about teachers and how their conditions need to be improved. There's a comment here on Facebook from Eric Kweku Bwedi, watching us from Bichim. Good to see you. I'll plead with UTAG to consider the government and hold on to their strike. At this moment, we need to come together as a nation. God bless our homeland, Ghana. I'm not too sure. Do you want the strike to continue? Or you want to chill? Let us know. Okay, so as part of what's happening in the headlines, of course, you know, recently, not too long ago, the Greater Accra Regional Minister went to Agbogbloshie and basically got the people there to be resettled to a part of the Greater Accra region called Agyen Kotoku. Our man Jay is on the ground, and he will be giving us a flavor of what is happening in Agyen Kotoku now that the former Agbogbloshie people are now there. So, yeah, let's have a look with Jay on the beat. We are keeping an eye on exactly what is going on. This is a serious aerial bird's eye view of exactly what is happening at Ajay Kotoku. So I drove by Agbogbloshie after a very long while, just over the weekend. I was shocked to see that there was nobody there. All the people normally lining the streets, selling their stuff, they're all gone. The place was raised. I mean, it was just level. And I was thinking, wow, this thing is actually real. And so all those human beings have been resettled here. What you see right now is an aerial shot of Ajay Kotoku, and our man Jay Gabra is keeping an eye on the situation as we speak right now. So these are pictures from Ajay Kotoku, where the traders, onion sellers, all those people who did all that business have been resettled. So, Mr. Consul, I mean, what do you think of all this? But before I get to you, let me speak to Jay on this. Jay, hi, good morning. Welcome to the show. Keeping an eye on things for us. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you, Kafi. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great.
Yeah. So, this morning we are keeping an eye. We're keeping an eye at the Ajay Kotoku market, where, if you remember, the regional minister directed that they are keeping Accra clean, so all the Agbogbloshie onion sellers should move to this place to start and operate their business from this location. So this morning we are keeping an eye here just to find out how operations are going for them. And at this point, I'd like to give you a high angle shot of the market. And when we come back, I'll speak to their chairman of the Onion Sellers Association.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm curious to find out how they feel having been resettled into Ajay Kotoku from Agbogbloshie. Mr. Kwanzaa, what do you make of this action from the regional minister?
Well, it was a good move.
Good move, right?
Yeah, good move. Good move. Very, very good. You know, some of the onion sellers have also moved on the Cape Coast Road.
Ah.
Yes, there is. I think the Gomoa East, district. They've cleared the place, and I mean, some of them. I think those who don't want to go to Ajay Kotoku have
decided moved to Cape Coast.
Not Cape Coast.
The Cape Coast Road.
Just after Kaswa.
Okay.
After Bungram.
Really?
On your right, they've cleared a large portion of land, and you see trucks offloading onions, and I believe, you see, that should be the way forward. To decongest the city center, we need to and relocate some of the markets.
Okay.
Outskirts the town, drive some distance to go buy your items, come, and I mean, you have your small markets around you.
Yeah,
you know.
So that's a good development. Yes, yeah. So this is what is happening now. So similar thing. So so Jay, our man, is on the ground at Ajay Kotoku. These are people who were resettled from Agbogbloshie, and I want to speak to Jay because he has a conversation with a chairman of the traders there, and it'll be interesting to see what his view is. Jay, let's hear you have your conversation. Who are you speaking with? Okay, so that we'll re-establish contact with Jay in a short while. He just wants to have a chat with the chairman. Yeah, Jay, take it away. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good morning.
Morning.
Patrick Ferguson.
Are we going to speak to you or English?
Okay. Sorry about that. Good morning. Yeah. English is fine. Okay. My bad. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, fellow citizens. My name is Alhaji Masawudu Salisu, Accra Onion Sellers and Importers Cooperative Society. I am their chairman.
Okay. So tell us, how has it been for you since you moved to this location?
We thank God for this special occasion and this for this day. Moving from Agbogbloshie to Ajin Kotoku is very, very difficult for us. But since we came here, everything went on smoothly with the work. But since 3 weeks now, the contractor didn't come to the site. As you can see, we don't have any shade, we don't have anything. He started working here, stop. If you see the ground, there is shade that he is supposed to do. He didn't do it. Now it's a rainy season, and our onion, as you know, doesn't want rain. As you can see them on the ground floor because we don't have enough shade. The latest shade we have is one, and remaining the 5 shade, they didn't do it. And the grading, as you can see, the work is not moving on well right now. So we are pleading.
Have you spoken to authorities about it?
I have spoken to the authorities. We have called RCC. That's last 2 weeks, last week, and yesterday I called them again. And I spoke to the MCE again so that they should come to our aid, so that they do whatever we want as they told us, so that we can start working. We are now all squatters here. We haven't sit down as we want to be seated.
Despite these challenges you're facing, would you say business is going on well, or you are yet to see a kickstart and all that?
Business have started moving, but right now, no. Because it's because of the rainy season. If it started raining, you have to collect the things, and then you have to close all your onions because there is no shade. You have to close it with rubber. So as you can see, yesterday it rains and we close it with rubber. The following day, today, all spoiled. You see them on the ground like that. So we are not happy at this moment.
So I'll give you the final word so that I can appeal to the authorities. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, I want to thank the Honorable Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Quartey, for bringing us here. But I want to plead. I'm pleading with him so that he can come to our aid, so that he will do our shade and then the grading. And the road too is not fine. From mid-year to our market, all the roads are not fine. Because all the tractors, if they reach there, they are complaining. And the small cars too are also complaining. So I'm pleading with the Honorable Minister to come to our aid, so that the contractors will come and continue his work, so that we have a peace of mind to stay and then sell.
Before you go, do you mean these ones are the ones that are spoiled?
Yeah, these are the fresh onions. All of these are fresh onions. They are fresh, but because of yesterday's rain, that's why you've seen it like this. So if
pretty
you
sad.
go down there,
all right, Jay. Well, thank you very much for that conversation.
And then and here too.
Jay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You've given us a good picture. You're making me hungry with all these onions that you are showing us like that. But thank you very much for your thoughts on that, and that interview. So he said something very interesting, that some of the infrastructure is not yet ready, and so it's affecting their operations. He needs the road. They need the roads to be level so the trucks can access the market. There's an issue of shade. Was this operation rushed? Was it rushed?
I would say yes and no. You know, sometimes if you don't, things like that, especially relocating people.
Action.
If you try to delay, relax, make sure things are done. I mean, at least they are now there. Now they know exactly what they will need to make the place complete.
But it will be harder to surface this road. Now, look at this. Look at the picture. Look at the road. It will be harder to surface with human beings there. It would have been easier to surface the road.
No, I know. I mean, that should have been. That should have been. You know, that should have been. Okay, you are moving me somewhere. Is the place ready? No. You see, but what I'm praying for is it shouldn't end up like the way it ended up at
Agbogbloshie.
Not Agbogbloshie. You know SCC.
Yes.
On the way to
the Weja
yes. SCC.
Yes.
You know, there is that land was given to the Kokumpe. You know that?
Yes, I do.
Now, how many workshops do you see there? It's all become like a either drinking bar or residential area. They took the lands and people who started selling the land. You know, so I believe they should have at least had some basic infrastructure in place. Because the last time I heard the Minister for Sanitation promising them that they are going to build washrooms and whatever, all those things should have been in place before we move them. But you see, maybe he was also thinking about, look, if I don't move them now, getting to election time, it becomes a political issue. Let me move them now. By the time we enter into electionary campaign, everything is simmered down. I mean, it was a strategy. You understand me? And it might work, it might backfire. But the best is now we know the city is getting a bit decongested.
Okay. So on balance, you agree with the move?
I agree with the minister. Okay. You know, and I loved his approach.
What was his approach?
No, the approach of getting all the Accra MPs coming together, stakeholders like, look, the chiefs, political parties. Have you had any serious backlash? Like you've done this and our party people are the... We were even scared for him, especially from his own party. You know, but I mean, he's been able to.
So you thumbs up for it?
Yeah.
You thumbs up.
I mean, he's been able to bring everybody on
together.
Board. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So those are. So what are your thoughts about the decongestion of Agbogboshi and the relocation to Ajin Kotoku? #GTV Breakfast. Coming up a conversation on constitutional reform. Which, if you had a chance, what would you change in the constitution?
Yeah, you not ask me what I would like to change.
That is the when we are going. I'll get you that. Okay, so don't worry, can't worry. Let's go to the Finder, and this story that I found in the Finder is quite worrying. So, front page of the Finder: 59 million CD ECG meters conductors abandoned since 2014. So these items, prepaid meters, were bought between 2014 and 2016, but as of 2019, items remain in ECG stores while management procured new ones. So the items are still in the stores, more new ones are being bought. ECG says that there were some technical challenges identified with the meters. The Auditor General wants officers who engage in the procurement to pay. So on the surface of it, does it look like waste to you?
I mean, from 2014 till now.
That's when that's when you were in power.
Yeah, but till now, something should have been done about it. I mean, they purchased them from 2014 to 2016. They are in the store. Then, let's say FPP came to power in 2017. Decided not to use them because they have somebody else to supply them.
Is that, you know that for a fact?
No, but if the things are faulty, what do? You have, what agreement did we have with the supplies? If the things are faulty, who supplied it to us? Was it from China? Was it manufactured in Ghana? You know, and me, I don't know why we even sometimes go and import prepaid meters and whatever. No, we have companies set up in Ghana producing. Say, if there is any problem or there are problems with the meters, you could easily run to their office. Their manufacturing company is here.
Is it a rhetorical question you're asking me? Don't you know why these things happen?
No, I don't know why. I mean, I believe we have companies here. We should rather empower to do all these, manufacture all these meters for us. I mean, they've done it before. I remember when we started, there was this company that started, I don't know if electrometer or something, electrometer. They started doing the prepaid thing. They started bringing them, and they decided that, look, it's about time we set up here. They have the factory right here in Ghana, manufacturing. So if we have a problem with the meters, the thing is, it's not a matter of surcharging those who who did the procurement. It's about going back to the agreement that procured those meters, 59 million Ghana cedis or dollars.
Yeah, Ghana cedis. So that's about $10 million.
Yes, it's something that we should go back to the manufacturers. Look, they are faulty. Take them and look. either replace them or pay us back our money. I mean, this shouldn't be anything that serious.
So these are revelations coming out from the
Auditor General.
Yes,
yeah.
he wants the officers who bought these to pay up.
Who bought it? You know, I think who bought it should pay up. I bought the things for the company. The company is not using it for the last 4 years. Why are they not using it? Because it's faulty. It's a matter of just, if they pay up or they don't. I mean, the best thing is to go to the source. Who supplied us? Which agreement? I mean, if you are entering into a supply agreement, definitely there might be clauses that says that, look, if the thing comes and it doesn't work, you have to replace them or whatever. They should just look at it and just send it back so that we get replacement.
Let me startle you even more. So this report is interesting. It says electrical materials amounting to over 11 million cedis included in other trade debtors were given out on loan to 8 companies between 2014 and 2018 without any specific terms of agreement. So the AG has identified the absence of any agreement specifying when and how the materials are to be returned as having contributed to the anomaly, depriving ECG of the use of these materials for its own activity. So things are given out, there's no paper to cover it.
Then
is it a swerve?
Maybe. I mean, then, if that is the case, then, I mean, this magnitude, the money, 11 million cedis, with no agreement, nothing. I don't believe it. But
well,
if it's really
been reported.
No, I mean, then people should answer for it. I mean, definitely 11 million cedis worth of items, no agreement covering. I mean, hey, the people need to answer though.
I'll ask you for your constitutional reform requirement or request pretty soon, but I want to look at the BFT. So this is a tourism story. It has to do with business as well, because hotels and tour operators, according to the BFT, Business and Financial Times, are saddled with almost 20 taxes. And the upshot of that is that Ghana has now become a very inexpensive tourist destination. So whole bunch of taxes. And let me give you some numbers to play with. You are a well-traveled man. So though ranked by TripAdvisor as the most visited country in West Africa, Ghana's tour packages and hotel rates remain very high compared to second place Senegal and third place Gambia. So as of July 31, 2021, these are the figures. So a 5-star hotel in Senegal and Gambia, you would pay an average of $150 per night. For those of you who are thinking of the exchange rate, that's 900 Ghana cedis, okay, a night. With a 2-star or 3-star costing between $30 and $55. So, yeah, multiply by 6. Don't give me mental this morning. Meanwhile, in Ghana, a 5-star facility in Accra will cost you $350. Yeah. So times 2 is 700, times 3 is 2,100 cedis. Compared to 900, so 900 versus 2,100. Checks by BFT from, and they've named the hotels Melvin Peak, Kempinski. Yeah, so you can have as high as $410. And the idea is that, the whole idea is that taxes are causing us to be expensive, high hotel rates. And meanwhile, the tourism ministry wants people to patronize the facilities, but they're expensive.
I mean, that's true. I mean, you go to even a 3-star hotel, and their minimum rate is about 200 Ghana. A 3-star hotel, travel to Takoradi, travel anywhere, and I believe it's too expensive. Like the paper is saying, because if you go to the US, $50, you get a beautiful hotel to stay in.
Bigger economy, lah.
I mean,
bigger economy.
No, bigger economy.
Can't compare us.
No, I know.
Can compare ants to an elephant?
Yeah, but that is where you start. You know, to attract more. I mean, it's just simple economics. If the thing is less expensive, you have more patronage. Hello.
What do you think? Well, what do you think Senegal and Gambia have lower hotel rates?
It fits into their national plan. That look, let's take the taxes off the hotels. Because the only way to really market or improve your tourism is having good hotels with better rates. I hope you understand. So if we have all those things, worked out. Then later on, I mean, when the thing is booming, when people are coming and you don't have hotels, that is where you start, okay, now let's go to the $250, $300 rate. But $300, you know where you will sleep even in Dubai? $300.
Where will you sleep in Dubai?
Dubai. You will sleep around the sea, just by the sea, a nice cabana. I mean, $300.
Tell me.
But meanwhile here, some of the 5-star hotels, $300 is standard room, not standard room. Standard room. It's about time we look at the taxes. If the taxes are
20, we have almost 20 taxes
on hotel rooms.
Yeah, 20. If you add the hotels and tour operators, they have 20 taxes. Almost 20 taxes.
It's about time we look at it. I mean, seriously, look, if you want to grow a sector, you don't overtax that sector.
But how do you get the money? I mean, if you don't tax
no, but you see, you tax them, but don't overtax them. 20 taxes on, I mean, I think is killing. Don't overtax it. Let the economy grow. Let that sector grow. Then you see, the more you have people, the more money you make. Because 1% of 10,000 is better than 100% of zero. I hope you understand me. So let's rather go that route. Then look, let's reduce things, let people patronize. So at the end of the day, if you have 10 people patronizing, you know that, oh yeah, I'm just getting this little money. Then taking it high, then you have only 2 people patronizing.
All right. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. I'm going to come to your thing, but briefly, we were expecting Mr. Michael Mary-Wadier from the NPP to be here, second vice chairman, but he didn't, because I would have asked him how he thinks NPP will break the 8-year election cycle, which is something that Dr. Bawumia has assured his followers. This is the headline on the ABC News. They say they will break the 8. Possible?
Oh, dreams are free. I mean, you sleep, you dream, you can interpret your dream anyhow. That is, they are dreaming of breaking the 8. But talk is cheap. I mean, look, break 8, even the 4, breaking the 4 was even a problem for them than breaking the 8. Look, I mean, they are saying what they want to do. I mean, hey, they have their plans. We are also preparing for them. We want to see how they can break the 8. With things going on now, breaking the 8 is a mirage. They should forget about it. I mean, most of the people are even preparing their handing over notes. The NPP guys I know, they know that next election is not going to go for them. So they've started even telling their wives, can I want to visit you? They've started telling people around them that, look, Charlie, you might not get the same thing for me after 4 years. So whatever, just hold on, maintain. And yes, you know.
I mean, something can happen.
They know. It's not that something can happen. I mean, they know. I mean, even the first 4 years, no party has really hustled in the second term like they did. And this, you thought you were thinking of third term. The second term you won by default. And you think, oh, Master, you see.
So are you doing something in the Central Region? Are you gunning for any position?
Oh yeah. I am going for the regional chairmanship. All things being equal. You know.
Who is your biggest contender?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Well, you don't want to name your contender?
Oh no, not naming them. I mean, I have heard of so many names, but once
which ones have you heard?
No, once the game is not open now, you can't see them. I mean, I can talk for myself. You understand me?
What will be your biggest trump card?
My biggest trump card. Look, I've been an MP in the area for 8 years. I've been a deputy regional minister for almost 2 years. I've been a regional minister for 3 years.
These are just posts.
No, post, yes. But at the end of the day, it gives you the opportunity to know the region.
Okay.
And knowing the region is the trump card.
When are the elections?
Oh, it's not set up yet. I mean, we've not even. I mean, we've not started even.
But you are moving. You're on the ground.
Oh no, being on the ground is like, yeah, definitely. I'm always in the central region. So
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Before you go, what is that one part of Ghana's constitution that you want amended?
When they started when Prof Dem started the round, I was looking at strengthening our democracy. And strengthening our democracy, we need to really separate the executive from the legislature. But as it stands now, it's like I'm a minister. I work for the presidency, that is executive. I'm a member of parliament. I'm also other. So I want them to just draw the line. If you are a minister, you can never, if you are a member of parliament, you can never be a minister. Just be there and do your parliamentary work. You know, do your parliamentary work and put checks on the ministers. But you are a minister and your colleagues are here, you come lobby them in a way, then you get your way through. But if parliament is to do its judicial work, let it be. And whoever becomes a minister, you know, we were trying to, because we married 2 constitutions, so we were taking half. Because, you know, in the U.S.,
okay,
all the secretaries are not senators or whatever.
So
you
should divorce MPs from ministers.
Yes,
that's your big wish.
Yes,
Mr. Aquinas Terry Kwanzaa, former Central Regional Minister, gunning for Regional Minister for the NDC Central Region. Thank you so much for your time with us. Okay. Ex gratia should be abolished and replaced with SNIT for every working Ghanaian. That is Francis Nyachiko's wish list as far as constitutional reform will be concerned. We have 2 hot guests for a hot conversation with tea coming up. So Dr. Abu Sakar Foster is founder for the National Interest Movement, and Professor Raymond Atuguba, Dean of University of Ghana School of Law. They will be looking at issues of constitutional amendment, reform agenda towards 2024 and beyond. And then Val will be talking about hair loss, especially in women, in the next hour. Stay with us. This is hashtag GTV Breakfast, brought to you by Betporo, Awake Purified Drinking Water, Shield Acrylic Paint, and Adonko Next Level Energy Drink. Stay tuned.
Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show.
Are you ready? It's heat hot, and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on news, making the headlines, how to navigate traffic,
what's up with the weather,
your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
sports,
what of showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you, with the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late.
Wow. Kojo, their TV is very clear. Not like the one we have at home, where displays are of low quality and channels keep going off.
This is the same TV we use. The same TV we use at home.
Oh, Kojo, you don't have to worry, okay? Our TV was equally terrible. Not until we discovered RCS, honey. Tell them.
RCS. Reliable Connect Satellite. We didn't have to buy a new decoder. We got our installer, gave him the parameters, and connected.
You can now enjoy over 100 exciting channels in SD and HD quality across Africa and Europe. For TV station owners, RCS offers you the best package for your channels with wider viewership at a cheaper cost. Plus, your channels can be viewed in over 42 countries in Africa, Asia, and other parts of Europe. Projecting your pictures with dedicated 2.0 bandwidth for SD channels and 4.0 bandwidth for HD channels.
Baby, I'm not going back to that TV. You better call them now.
RCS, the future of satellite TV in Africa.
GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show.
Are you ready? It's heat hot, and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on news making the headlines, how to navigate traffic,
What's up with the weather,
your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
sports,
what of showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you, with the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late.
Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital. Live from GBC.
Thank you for staying with us. It's hashtag GTV Breakfast, and this segment we discuss an important national issue. The Constitution Review Commission, a presidential commission of inquiry, was set up in January 2010 to consult with the people of Ghana on the operation of the 1992 Constitution and on any changes that need to be made to the document. The commission was also tasked to present a draft bill for the amendment of the Constitution in the event that any changes are warranted. However, 11 years down the line, nothing has been done with the recommendations made by the Commission, and we are back to the same problem which should have been solved 11 years back. The National Interest Movement is a non-partisan civil society organization that pursues the national interest for the greater common good, is pushing for an amendment to the 1992 Constitution to help curb what they call the parochial pursuits that distort the functioning of Ghana's democracy to suit partisan patronage. NAME has therefore submitted a petition to the Speaker of Parliament to, among other things, begin a national discourse on a comprehensive amendment of Ghana's 1992 Constitution. We are fortunate to have in the studio two strong members of the movement, Dr. Abu Sakara Foster, who is the founder for the movement and former flag bearer of the CPP. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. And also Professor Raymond Atuguba, Dean of the University of Ghana School of Law, and he is also an executive secretary. He was to the Constitution Review Commission. Thank you for joining us, Prof. Atuguba.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, let's set the tone for this conversation by asking what is so fundamentally wrong with our Constitution that we need to change. It has worked for us since 1992. So one would say, don't fix what's not broken.
Well, I think the first thing is that the purpose of a constitution is to guide your development. And if your development is behind schedule, then you need to look at the Constitution and see what impediments in it.
And you're blaming the Constitution for...
Well, I said there are certain impediments in it which relate to political, economic, and social issues. And the issue basically is that we have now had this Constitution for 30 years. We've been an independent country for 64 years. But our contemporaries in primary school have now finished university. So why haven't we also finished university instead of boasting about being first in class 6? So we need to look at ourselves. What are the impediments that have prevented us from accelerating our development? What is our understanding of the democracy that we are practicing? Where are the excesses? And how can we remove those impediments so that we can progress faster and give ourselves a different framework for development? And that is what we can bequeath to a next generation so that they make faster progress than we have made during this period. Now, there are many areas that we can talk about which boil down even to our habits. I just heard you, your last presenter, talking about the issues of meters having been bought and not having been used. Is that the first time you're hearing about such an event? No. So the question is, why does it happen? What can we do to prevent it from happening? Those are the issues that we should be asking ourselves. And we believe that a new or a reformed constitution, that's a comprehensively reformed one, not just a few changes here and there, is going to create a new paradigm in which, one, we check key things, our national development planning, whether we follow it or we don't follow it. Should we let manifestos be more powerful than the National Development Plan? If that is the case, at every administration you're swinging from left to right and back again. Do you expect to make as much progress as those who travel in a straight line? That's one of the issues.
So you're asking for the Constitution to spell those and other things out clearly?
Yes, and spell them out clearly and put them in such a way that they follow nice, what we call common practice, where other people who have made that progress have done those things, because those things relate to, one, continuity. Do you have continuity? Do you have consistency? Do you have reliability? Is there equity? All those things are important. And I always give the analogy of the days when we didn't have taxis from lorry parks. People used to push trocos. And if your luggage is on it, you push it in the direction of the town that you are going in. Nobody pushes a troco in the direction of the town they don't live in. If your luggage is not on it, you don't push it. And similarly, the Constitution, if it embodies our interests, then we all push together as a nation. So those things are important in terms of invoking the patriotism, the commitment to the national objective and the binding national vision that we all put towards. If those things are not happening, then look into it and see how we remove those impediments. So there are a number of issues, even the kind of democracy that we practice, which has become excessively partisan and relying on patronage. Those are issues that we need to look at and say, look, where can we check this? When we talk about independence of bodies, constitutional bodies, how independent are they? How are they appointed? How are they funded? Do they have free hands?
We'll get
All
to the
those
issue
things
of
are
appointments.
important.
And
Yes.
one of the key things that has been raised is the powers conferred on the president, for example, by the Constitution to appoint and fire. But what are the kind of loopholes and weaknesses, Prof. Atuguba, that you've identified? And that I'm happy you brought the document with you. That's the Constitution review that you were an executive secretary to the committee, a bulky document. It identified a number of loopholes in the existing Constitution. Tell us about some of them and what your proposals for their fixing would be.
Thank you so much. In 1992, when the Constitution we now operate was crafted, it was enough for our needs and it was enough for our wants. Today, the Constitution is not enough for our needs and it's not enough for our wants. I have a friend who watched the Fix the Country demonstration of 4th August on TV. He's retired, so he has a lot of time. And he was doing an assessment of the placards. And in his rough estimation, at least 1/4 of the placards on that day demanded a reform, a review of our Constitution. That's how bad it is. Remember that in 1992, the Constitution was crafted as a political settlement document. It was a political document to settle matters for transition from military rule into democratic governance. 30 years down the line, Ghanaians do not need a political settlement document to guide their lives. They need a developmental document that would give unto them the much needed development they desire. And that's why the title of the Constitution Review Report is From a Political to a Developmental Constitution. In other words, how do we construct a constitution that aids in our development march and gives unto Ghanaians the type of life that they deserve? Why should Ghanaians in 2021 live in a country where most of what we produce, most of the resources that we produce and sweat to generate, move out of the country and are not there for the benefit of the people who live in this country and who work here? Whilst at the same time, mothers are giving birth to our kids on the floor in the hospitals.
What are you proposing? What are the specific loopholes and what are you proposing?
The very first chapter, the very first substantive chapter in the Constitution Review Report, and also in the agenda for reform by the National Interest Movement, is for the institution of an independent National Development Planning Commission that would institute a long-term developmental plan for the country. We can't make any progress unless we deal with this one issue in constitutional terms. Because the haphazard way in which successive governments treat our developmental issues is not sustainable. And so the very first, there's not enough time to go through all of the 12 chapters, 12 substantive chapters of reforms, and also the list and the chart produced by the National Interest Movement for reforms. But I'm just giving you one example.
Right. Dr. Sakawa, if the Constitution has mandated certain bodies to even work independently to meet certain needs, and those needs have not been met, what's the guarantee that this independent National Development Planning Commission that you're proposing, for example, would come out with plans that would be carried on by successive governments, even though they have been mandated by the Constitution, going by the current practice now?
Okay, I think the first thing is that we are talking about a national development plan, for want of a better word, which will be entrenched in the Constitution. And by that, I don't mean that it's going to be spelling out details of how many roads, etc., you have to build. But I mean that it sets a certain framework and latitude. Within that latitude, say 6-year plans with segments of 6 years, the first thing we'll want to say is, okay, let's change the tenure of government to 6 years to coincide with the plan.
That's one of your proposals?
That's one of the
From 4 years to
6 years. And people will say, but why? 6 years is too long. Why don't we have 4 years of, or 4 or 8? The simple argument is this. We all know, because we have now practiced it, that in a 4-year term, you spend the first year settling down, saying that you didn't know things were like that. And then the last year, you're campaigning. So you have 2 effective years. If you even have 2 terms, and you have 2 effective years, that is 4 effective years. So if you have 6 years and you do the same, you have 1 election, you have 4 years of continuity, and you have no excuse for not finishing anything and bringing us judgment debt. Okay, that is one of the issues. But more important for the business community, there's a certain sense of stability, assuredness that if I do this, I can invest my money, I can plan towards this, because government is moving in the same direction. The second thing, which is very important, is that once those frameworks are set, you don't have the latitude to come and tell us your manifesto means a totally different thing and you're going to run things according to your manifesto. We said, no, we've all agreed on this. Within the parameters, show us how you will handle things and give us a budget so that we can see you're a better manager and you will achieve these results more than the other party. So it sets a reference point from which you can compare people. And I think that's one of the things politicians don't like, because now there's going to be a standard rule, you know, where we'll measure progress. And these things are important because it also saves wastefulness. It saves us not suddenly changing direction. And all the countries that we like to quote, Malaysia, Korea, Singapore, what is it about them? They had continuity for a long time. They had stability, reliability. Amongst the other things that they did, if you don't have these three basic things, then the other things that you do are not important. So we have to also understand we're part of a global world. Gravity doesn't cease to work just because we're in Africa. Every time you want to suggest something, people say, oh yeah, but here it won't work. If you jump off a roof in Ghana, do you break your leg or you don't break your leg? Gravity works everywhere. So we have to adapt ourselves to the situation, but we also have to follow good global practice if we want the kind of results that other people have had. There are many other areas.
Right, because some of our viewers have sent us comments in advance. I'll read just a few of them from Twitter. A lot of them have to do with Article 71 office holders and what your proposals for how they should be handled would be. So, off the top of my head, Article 71. And then the powers of the president to appoint and fire, and then the president appointing an IGP. Let's go through these ones first, and then we can get to another batch of. So the president appoints boards, he appoints heads of institutions, even those giving independent mandates by the Constitution. Do you think that he is given too much power, Professor Tuguba? And what would your recommendation, what is NIM recommending to be done with the president's powers?
Yes, it's clear from our constitutional practice in the last 30 years that the number of appointments the president is called upon to make are just simply too many. That's why presidents spend the first year making appointments. That's a very inefficient and ineffective system.
What's your proposal?
So the proposal is that the number of appointments the president makes should be radically cut down.
So who should make those appointments?
There are many ways of making appointments. For example, the president doesn't appoint the chair of the National Media Commission. They meet and they decide on that day who the chairperson is. Full stop. There are so many other ways of making appointments other than vesting all of those appointing powers in the president. Of course, there are some appointments the president has to make. The president has to make appointments of his ministers. All well and good. But what business does the president have appointing the members and chairpersons of public universities? There are so many other institutions that could not.
I think also it's important that we look at structure that we have now and how we could change that structure so that other bodies could make some of those appointments. For example, if we had a different Council of State that was more independent and also composed of stakeholders in Ghana who elected those people onto the Council of State, then they could act independently of the president for some of these key appointments of people who need to be independent, the independent constitutional bodies. So in that way, not only are you appointing those people independent from the president, of course the president will have some say, but they make their appointments. You also find a means of funding them separately. In other words, have a special levy that funds their budgets directly, so that as an electoral commissioner, if you're elected by this Council of State, nobody can say the ruling party elected you. You're elected by the Council of State.
Because as it stands, the Council of State nominations and appointments are usually also, like you're saying, on political.
Well, there's a big influence from the president. Yep. But we want to also emphasize the point that simply appointing the person is not enough. you have to have an independent means of funding them so that they can operate independently. If the executive still controls their budget, then they can make sure that they don't work until the time they want them to work. So a different levy needs to be set up that goes directly to their budgets quarterly, and they operate independently. So those two things are important. And in that sense, you need to think of the Council of State as a different organ to how we have it now.
So
almost
is it
like
safe
a
to
second
assume
chamber.
that you think the existing checks and balances that exist do not work?
The existing checks and balances are not good enough. But in respect of the Council of State, something is going to happen to it soon. Because if you look at the constitutional structuring of the Council of State, because we now have 16 regions, immediately it's fully implemented, there will be more elected members on the Council of State than appointed. So the majority of people on the Council of State would now be elected from the regions and not appointed by the President. So it's possible to craft the Council of State, as Dr. Sakara said, into a more independent body that can make some of these appointments that are foisted on the President to make.
Right. Now, you also raised in a portion of your document the conversation of traditional authorities being integrated into governance. We by our current laws, we discourage active participation by chiefs in politics. What exactly are you proposing if you're saying they should be integrated into governance? Well, are you not bringing them into partisan politics?
No, I think first of all, we face the reality that as a politician, you well know, when you go to a region, the first person you go and see is the biggest chief there, and then, you know, you get a chance to go and campaign. Ultimately, they have influences in those society, but aside from that, there's a simple issue of land and the control of chiefs on land and resources. And we believe that the current arrangement does not allow us to make the most efficient use of their control on that basis. So if there were more of an integral process at the development level, we're not saying that you come and take it over, but we can craft a mechanism in which the influence and control of resources works more for their communities and also works more for public sector.
How exactly would that work then?
I think there are a lot of details in that which will take too much time to explain now. But the key issue is this. We know that at the institution of Ghana, it was only the Gold Coast which was owned by the colonials. The rest of them were either territories, protectorates, etc. The chiefs were consulted to bring their territories into Ghana. They did that on the basis that they kept control of the land. It's very difficult to have proper development in a nation in which the resources are being controlled by one person, land and resources, and then the operational ones are being controlled by the government. So we need to come to a clear understanding of how this can be integrated so that those things work more for the state. I think there's a lot of detail in there which needs to we sit down and consultation and discuss how it works. But it does not mean that you are now going to have them wholly controlling government. That's not what we're talking about. Right. Because at the local level, even now, if you go to many of the areas I know of, you even want to construct roads, you have to meet the chiefs. You want to have large-scale farming, you have to meet the chiefs, etc., because they are the owners and controllers of the land. So we need to come to some arrangement where their influence is managed in such a way that it makes development easier and more predictable.
Now let's go back to the question some of our viewers asked about Article 71 office holders. What are you proposing as against the practice that we have now?
So our proposals center around a number of independent bodies for two reasons. We have had in our constitutional experience a number of independent bodies that have functioned effectively. Take the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Take the National Media Commission. You might have
Commission, Public Services Commission.
You might have issues with them, but they have done good things in an independent fashion in the past. So the proposals center around a number of independent bodies, including an independent NDPC, but also an independent emoluments commission. An independent emoluments commission that would determine the salaries and emoluments of every public servant, from the messenger to the president, so that we stop this thing of every president putting together a group of people and instructing them to come up with certain.
And would your proposals include, for example, what has come up recently, the spouses of presidents and vice presidents, in this broader conversation of payments to public workers or people who are employed by the state? Would that extend to them as well?
The way in which that discussion has been conducted has been with quite limited information. The fact is that first ladies perform public functions. The question therefore is, how do you cover the cost of those public functions they perform? Do you see? It's not about whether or not resources would move to first and second ladies.
Because they do.
Since independence, resources have in fact been moving to first and second ladies. The question is, how do you couch them? And we are saying that it is better for an independent body made up of some experts to do this than to have a politically charged group doing this every 4 years.
Right. Dr. Sakara, I see you nodding, so you have a lot to add to what this Independent Emolument Commission, will they also be in charge of ex gratia in your proposals?
Of course. Okay, yes, there would be. And the whole issue also, you have to, when you're doing these emoluments, there's a question of principles of fairness. There's a certain range within which the lowest worker and the highest paid public worker, their salaries must fall. When you have so much of a big difference and it keeps increasing, what you're creating is an economic divide, which turns into a social divide. Those are the things that we think a new constitution should try and narrow, so that we have more of a number in the middle, because it is when you build that middle class that drives the society. So we shouldn't be looking at what we do for the utmost, the people at the top, and always concentrating on that and ignoring the rest. We should focus on the middle. Now, the other issue I want to speak about is that when we talk about electoral reforms, we always focus on the EC. But actually, the biggest electoral reforms go beyond the EC. The one that we are very much interested in and would like to see is one which creates a bigger sense of inclusion in the political space. So we want to see a stop of this 50% plus one, winner takes all, leading to Edidija politics. We want to have a system in which there is some kind of proportional representation, either from parliamentary level or from presidential votes, so that everybody is included in forming that new government. I think it's very important, because that is how you get the smaller groups growing and having some influence. And if we want to see examples, we just need to turn our heads and look all over Europe, where seemingly small parties or groups, sometimes they don't even want to be called parties, have a very strong influence on the key things that they are involved in, and they influence government policy in that way. And this basically means that you stop this duopoly growing and entrenching itself, because that only leads to stagnation. And we've seen that also, that you can have a situation in which with just the existence of two parties and they end up neutralizing each other and the country can't move. It happens even in established democracies, let alone a fledgling one like ours. So it's very important that we look at the bigger picture as well.
Yeah, so the duopoly, when Kafui and our other panel were talking about Dr. Bawumia's statement about the NPP breaking the 8, we were over there on the yellow couch, and you made certain reactions, and I wonder what your thoughts would be on that particular statement by the Vice President, just as an aside, very quickly, so that we move on to wrap up with this conversation.
Well, I think the issue of breaking the 8 is talking about the duopoly itself, because they don't think anybody exists apart from the two of them.
And you've led the CPP, so I'm sure you have very strong opinions.
Well, it's not because of leading the CPP. It's simply that as a Ghanaian, I feel that there should be plurality in the political space. And that means even the issue of election of district leaders, local government executives. That is another very important thing. And on non-partisan basis. Why are we saying that? Because we want them to be accountable to the communities, not to their parties and the president. And that is very important.
But even at the assembly levels, since you've mentioned local governors, we've noticed a growing presence of political party representation in district assembly elections. So how do we then wean ourselves off of something that we've done consciously or unconsciously for several years?
Well, you change the constitution in such a way that you can stand separate from those people and contest separate from them at the local level. And the reason we start at that local level is because it is cheaper and less expensive, and people who are well established can contest.
The laws are clear, and still we see the lines clearly in the district.
That's because at the higher level you have a system of political patronage, and it dissipates throughout the entire system, in the business community, in the political community, and in the society. But once you take certain measures to curb that, then you'll find that those things reduce. So what we are saying is, don't feed the thing that is growing, which you don't want to grow. Deny it some food and feed the things you want to grow. That's how you change things.
You are calling for an expansion in the scope of the consultative process. How expansive are you calling for this scope? A commission was instituted that came up with this document that is right in front of you, and it has had little or no impact in 11 years. What consultations again, Ghanaians will say, that are you asking for that is not already in this book?
Well, the Constitution Review Commission report is a good foundation, but we've learned a number of things since it was submitted 10 years ago. We can't close our eyes to those. What the National Interest Movement is saying is that let's add the last 10 years of our constitutional experience to the first 20 and use those experiences to map out a reform agenda.
And what impetus did that commission lack that you think you're bringing on board to actually make this happen, so that it's no longer a vision, it's no longer a dream, it's actually materializes?
Well, one of the reasons we're doing this is literally to put wheels under this document so that it moves.
It's bulky.
Along with other things that we want to add on to it. So what we're doing in the National Interest Movement is not to create a new thing only, but to create momentum for it to move. And by that we say, first of all, we've done the right thing. We've written to the Speaker and told him we've given a copy of this reform agenda. It's a comprehensive reform. It's not a matter of picking those things which you think are going to be good for you politically and doing them. It has to be done comprehensively. And whether it leads to a new constitution or a much reformed constitution, we don't really mind.
And what has been the response since you came out to champion this cause?
I think the response is not much different to the response to this document so far. And that is why we also are not relying only on that official formal route. We're also going to the grassroots. And what we're doing is collecting signatures. And we're asking you, Kafui, together with your people in the studio, to print a copy of this from our website, www.nimghana.org. Read the documents that we have there, and then begin collecting signatures in your constituency to demand that these reforms be made. And if 200 people in each constituency do that, of the 279 constituencies, we'll easily get 1.1 million signatures. And that is going to be heavier than this document. It's going to have more implication than this, particularly if you submit it through your respective MPs and tell them that, look, the recalcitrance over implementing this is now over. We are the ones who have elected you, and we want you to implement this framework. These are our signatures. We want you to do it. And if you don't do it, don't come to us asking us to vote in 2024.
Papa Tuguba, why should the young people be interested in the reviews that you are proposing at all? As your final comments, try to garner the young in the society to your cause, to sign this petition that Dr. Sakara has just told us about.
I'll ask them to go to the internet, pull down the 1992 Constitution. They should read Articles 35 and 36. There's a very, very fundamental statement, a very profound statement in there, which reads as follows: the most secure democracy is one that assures for its citizenry the basic necessities of life as a fundamental duty. I repeat, the most secure democracy is one that assures for its citizenry the basic necessities of life as a fundamental duty. In Ghana today, our democracy does not assure for the broad majority of Ghanaians the basic necessities of life. And therefore, our democracy is not secure. That is dangerous. We need to marshal forces, work together, ensure constitutional reform, and then secure our democracy.
Dr. Scar.
Well, I would say that as a post-colonial generation, those of us who emerged after independence, it is now our children who are facing this new situation. And we cannot use the fortunate circumstance of our own families to tell the majority of the youth who are facing unemployment, high standards of living, and a future which they are not certain about. We cannot use our own circumstances to tell them to keep quiet, you wait, things will get better. We have to realize that in many homes, this youth who parents have invested money in are roaming without jobs. And they're roaming without jobs, not only because government does not employ people, because already government is using 73% of its revenue to actually employ public sector. So you're not actually supposed to increase that. It's not good for the economy. But you're supposed to do the things that will promote the private sector to employ those people. That environment within which the private sector works is not just financial and economic issues. It has political and social issues that give people the confidence to make those investments and that make the young people more patriotic and committed to the nation to work in that environment. I believe as we stand now, the young generation are looking to us to say, what are you going to do that is going to make our lives better? There is nothing that we can do as a post-colonial generation than to hand these young generation a constitution that gives them the optimum potential, opportunity to exploit their optimum potential. And that is what we're talking about. Remove the impediments. Don't hand them an impeded democracy.
And very quickly, how do people join your cause?
Well, we have a website, www.nimghana.org. They can go there. We also have WhatsApp groups, in which you saw a young man sitting around there. He's one of their leaders. He's there. And also soon we'll be having branches in regional areas where people can come and form their own. It's a community-driven thing. It's not a political instrument.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abu Sakara,
You're welcome.
for coming on the program. Professor Tuguba, thank you so much for answering these questions for us. The two gentlemen have been talking to us about constitution reviews and what their proposals for those reviews should be to make lives better for the ordinary Ghanaian. They're saying that we should go beyond looking at the present fortunes of our families and using that as a basis to judge everybody or to measure everybody else's success. So it remains to be seen what further discussions will be held on this matter. They presented this petition to Parliament, and we look forward to further engagements, and once they happen we will let you know. You're watching GTV Breakfast, and the lighter side is cooking and brewing. So much to look forward to in the lifestyle segment. Valerie and the Superwoman are seated. You don't want to miss this one. We'll be back.
From GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show.
Karimbu journey yet on GTV? What are you waiting for? Karimbu is a quiz tournament, but I call it a journey. On Karimbu, we go on an exciting, stimulating trip where we hear the story about us, Ghanaians and Africans. We learn about where we came from and about the niche we occupy in this universe. This unique tale is spun in the answers given by our bright young students in the quiz. They win many attractive cash prizes as they tell the story. The overall winner gets a whopping 5,000 cedis. Karimbu is a Dagbani word that means reading or learning. The quiz show Karimbu is about Ghana and Africa. Join us on this incredible, invigorating, motivating and inspiring ride. Karimbu is shown every Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. on GTV.
Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Coming live from the capital, this is The Breakfast Show.
Are you ready? It's heat hot, and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on news, making the headlines, how to navigate traffic.
What's up with the weather?
Your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
sports,
word of showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you, with the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late.
Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show.
Okay.
Hello guys, welcome to the lighter side of the breakfast table. So like I promised, I know you've come across the saying that real life superheroes do not wear capes. Well, I have one superhero in studio. Her name is Mbakum Ladi Samira, and she wears her beauty boldly and boldly. Hi, welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Okay, so the first thing anybody would ask is, when you go out looking, carrying your boldness like this, how do you feel? Do you get stares?
So I have gotten to a stage in my life where I really don't look around because the stares,
you know, they'll come.
It's not that I know they come, they are always following me. I am never alone in public.
Right.
No matter how I am alone, there's always a large group of people either staring at me from all walks of life, giving me all sort of strange stares and strange judgments. It's just been part of my life now. I go with people.
So how do you block it? It must be a lot.
It used to be a lot, but now I don't apologize for it, because most of the time people want you to feel you are less of a woman because of your look. And I can't do much about it. I can't force you to accept this. I can't force you to like it. So blocking, I don't block it. I will let you go with whatever you want to go with, whilst I also go about my usual business.
Right. So when did you decide, we'll come to your condition and why you decide, but when did you decide that, look, I'm going to do away with wigs, I'm going to do away with anything aesthetic and stick to this? When did you decide?
It was a wake-up call about 4 years ago, where I ended up having to use almost all my salary to buy 1 wig cap. And I wanted to go back to school. So the question was, would I be spending a lot of money trying to hide when there are other things I needed the resources
These
for?
are your childhood pictures. Yeah, we're sure.
Yes.
Right.
So it was more of, I need to do something. This is not me. I need to start living, because technically I wasn't living. I was hiding under the shadows of God knows what. So it was a wake-up call 4 years ago, but as to how I was going to do it, I had no idea. But that was when I decided that I was going to go to school. That was a wake-up call for me, that I needed the finances to do something more profitable than spending them on very expensive wig caps.
So did you shave the final hair off yourself, or you went to the barbers, or it came off by itself?
So before I let go of the rest of the hair, I had to do another biopsy. Usually with the condition I deal with, you do biopsy for them to see.
That's you there?
Yes, that is the final stage where it got to. So we had to, the part that, with this picture you would actually think it's just the side, but it's actually all round. So it's just a little portion here that we braided to cover one side, and then we tattooed the other side. And when we did the last checks, the follicles were extremely weak and they were going to fall off any moment. So the decision was, let the rest of the hair go now, and let's see if we can straighten the little follicles you have left, because the hair is almost gone.
Right.
So make that decision, let the rest go for now. Let's see if we can give you treatment so the little left will be strong, and then you can move on from there. So it was really tough, because the little I had was what I was, roaming.
Working with this. There wasn't enough to work with.
There wasn't enough to work with. The little I had was what I was working with, and then suddenly I had to make another tough decision to let it go. So I had no option. I remember that day very well in the salon. I don't keep a lot of friends because of how my life was growing up. But a few of my friends who knew decided to accompany me to a barber shop. So I had 2 friends on Facebook who reached out to me and said they were going to go to the barber shop with me. I wept.
Them.
I wept that day. It was the most difficult thing I've had to do, because it was so little.
I'm sure the date is tucked somewhere in your memory. Never let go of that day. Okay, so guys, research shows that 30% of women under age 50 suffer from hair loss. Alopecia is mostly considered an autoimmune condition which affects both female and male. No, it doesn't matter what your age group is. It
never discriminates. It doesn't care the age. It doesn't care the gender. It can happen to anybody. That's a sad part.
Right. We have another woman who also wears her baldness well.
Okay.
Another superwoman. Before that, tell us, so how did it start for you? When did you realize you had a condition? When did you realize it was medical? I've lost some hair here, but that's due to wearing a frontal badly. When did you realize the condition you had was medical?
So I've been bald since age 4, and then we didn't know what really it was. They usually treat it as a skin condition. So all the treatment I was doing, I was getting steroids injection on my head. Then I was too young to really understand what really it was, until I went all the way to secondary school. And then it started hitting me that, okay, this is more than what we thought it was, because even my parents back then didn't understand what we were dealing with. They only knew that there's something wrong, it's a condition, but as to what goes into it, nobody really understood it. And then very little was known about autoimmune conditions when it comes to alopecia.
Yes, I can hear
so
that.
at a point after secondary school, then I had to go back to the doctors, and then we had this confirmation.
Right. We have Miss Lankai on the phone. Miss Lankai is also wearing her baldness pretty. Miss Lankai is a singer, she's a songwriter, she's an actress. She is a chat show host, she's an entrepreneur, and she is a former ex-British Airways flight attendant, and she joins us by phone. Good morning, Miss Lankai.
Hi, good morning.
Pleasure to have you join us, Miss Lankai. So those are her photos there. That's her wearing.
Wow.
Have you ever come across her? Have you met her? Have you seen her anywhere? Miss Lankai, have you ever heard of Ladi Samira? Have you seen her before?
No, but I could see I can see me there.
Yeah, she's a younger you.
When I saw her on the screen, I thought, oh, that's somebody like me now.
Right. So, Miss Lankai, tell us your story. When did you decide that you were going to be bald?
You know what? When I was working with British Airways, I used to have locks. And with the airline, you can't go to work just leaving your locks, on your shoulders. So I always had to tie it. And pulling it back, tying my hair all the time, actually started destroying my hairline. Because there was one instance where I pulled it and one of the locks fell, but it fell right from the root. And I thought, oh, this thing is not going to grow back. And as I was going along, I realized that it was destroying my hairline. By working with the airline, you couldn't just decide to go bald because they didn't have it. So when I left and finally moved back to Ghana, one day my sisters were downstairs and they just saw me come downstairs and I removed everything.
Wow.
It was just an instant decision, yeah.
Right. So how do you deal with the stares that you get? From what Ladi is saying, she gets a lot of stares. I'm assuming you get a lot of stares too. How do you deal with the public?
Oh, with the public, they all be what they are, and you have to be what you are. So there are other people who ask me, why did you do that? And I say, why shouldn't I do that? I don't have to tell everybody the reason why I went bald. So I just deal with them the way they deal with me.
Right. The confidence that you both exude, is it like, do you have to go to like some sort of special school for it? Because trust you me, if we have a survey right now on social media, we're going to have like only 5% of Ghanaian women coming out who actually intentionally want to go bald. So kudos to you guys. Now, Miss Lankai, can you share a few words with Ladi? I mean, she's a younger you. What would you tell the younger you?
I'm just loving the way you're rocking me.
Thank you.
And I mean, it just goes to show that you don't need hair to be beautiful.
When
you're born into this world, you don't come with any hair. So why should we be bothered with hair? And she's rocking it. She's actually rocking it. So with the youth, I'll just say that wearing all these wigs and stuff in this hot weather, can you imagine? I mean, this is freedom. So if you want to do what you want to do, just go out there and do it. And needless to say, you don't owe your life to anybody else but yourself.
All right, thank you, Miss Lankai. Those were some wise thoughts from an older version of you. We recently celebrated International Alopecia Day. You were very instrumental drawing awareness to your page, and that's how come a lot of people actually found out about the condition. What are you and your outfit, your team, doing towards creating more awareness to this condition?
Currently, I do a lot of advocacy in the senior high schools. It's mostly not related to alopecia, but building self-confidence, and it's usually for girls, because with survey, you would find 8 out of 10 boys who don't have any issues with confidence. But surprisingly, you would find only 4 girls out of 10 who are confident enough to live with their truth. Most girls don't do that, so my advocacy centers more on girls and then confidence. And I do a lot of outreach when it comes to about women as well. A lot of people send me messages every single day. These are people living with alopecia, but because of stigma, they tend to hide, they tend to stay in darkness, and sometimes talking to them makes them feel okay, but it takes, coming out takes like a lot of work. So coaching other women, mostly adults, also to find themselves, learn to live with the condition, is also one thing that I do. Aside that, I do a lot of radio interviews to raise awareness. I do a lot of TV interviews to raise awareness. I'm looking forward to doing churches because it is actually one place that judge me the most.
Churches?
Churches.
The most judgmental people.
They judge me the most. So I'm looking forward to doing churches as well. So when they see people like this, they shouldn't use scriptures to try to demotivate them on how they look or how they think an ideal woman should look.
I mean, we are hard pressed for time, but have you had a religious person come up to you and actually chastise you for your looks without asking why you're looking the way
I've had one stop me and even prayed with me. I've had people shout in their church bars at me that, you know, I've had people think I'm a prostitute. They will just sit with me, give me a whole lot of preaching, and they would not for once ask, why this?
So how did you rise above this? Look, what you're doing now, I mean, I have goose pimples. I can't do it. How do you rise above all of this?
I actually don't rise above it. I live with it because sometimes I break down.
Live with it?
Yes, sometimes I break down and then I have to equally talk to my therapist because dealing with this, people see you and they think, oh, it's beautiful, you're very confident, but sometimes it comes with its own challenges. So yes, sometimes I break down. So I don't rise above it. I just live through it. Yes.
Wow. You really are brave and you are beautiful.
Thank you.
Worthy shout from us here on GTV Breakfast. Okay, she's beautiful.
Oh, you look so much like
yes.
I thought they were related. Like a younger twin of her.
Thank
so
you.
Very much.
Thank you for having me.
You thought they were related?
Yes, I did. I thought they were related.
Oh man.
We should
we should
all have your level of confidence. And if you're inspiring one little girl out there, one younger you out there, just like Miss Lankai just passed on words of wisdom to you, I think we would have ended our keep for today. Yeah. I'm excited.
Maybe we can start a revolution.
Or remove your wig.
Unfortunately, it's on my head.
I wear my hair natural, so nothing to remove.
You will go talking your hair stuff.
Look, you're the real MVP.
Thank you
very much for coming.
So quick shout out to Mrs. Esther Lamte. She's the owner of Future Glory International School at Macedonia. Ghana has names, so Lebanon, Russia, now Macedonia.
Jerusalem.
So thank you so much. Keep watching the show. And you got any shout outs?
Yes, Efia Ponsa. Pega, Mrs. Efia Ponsa Pega is her birthday today.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Efia.
Thank you for the sponsor of my lovely dress, Befitting. Check them out on Instagram, Befitting by SFGBG. Check them out on Instagram for my lovely outfit. They have these and more. And our sponsors for the program, we call them Basabet Boro, Awake Mineral Water, Shield Acrylic Paint, and Adonko Next Level Energy Drink.
Hey, Samira, come on. I think today she should give us a quote with you.
Also,
maybe you should sit by her.
Yes.
Every
day I give a quote.
Okay. So here's today's one.
You can read the quote for us.
Yes, please do for us.
A healthy person who begs for food is an insult to a generous farmer. Ghanaian proverb.
Thank you. A healthy person who begs for food is an insult to a generous farmer. On that note.
Well, from everybody here, bye guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
See you tomorrow.
Greatness. DJ Neptune. Joe Boy One Day. Coming live from the capital. This is the Breakfast Show.
Are you ready? It's heat hot, and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on news, making the headlines, how to navigate traffic,
what's up with the weather,
your health check, getting you up to speed on lifestyle,
sports.
What are showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you. With the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekday.